Hey, Algebra students. So we just learned these properties, and now we're going to see if we can see them in action and label them as you go through some of these illustrations. The biggest thing is understanding that you can do or apply some of these properties, and knowing how to use them is key to later on in solving equations and knowing what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So, for example, number one, 42 times 0 equal to 0. So that is the zero property. That is using the zero property for multiplication. Number two, y plus 2.5, and then that's grouped together, plus a 28. And then looks like it's going to be the same numbers, but I regroup, and I see y plus the grouping of 2.5 and 28, and that's going to be the associative property. It's going to put down associative for addition. That's for addition. So it's regrouping. Number three, 10x plus 0 equals 10x. Well, that's going to be an illustration of the identity. Exact same thing back, the identity property. Number four, 4x times 1 equals 4x. That is also the identity property. That's for multiplication. The one above was the addition, but it's the identity property. Finally, at number 5, here we have, looks like we have x plus the grouping, and that's supposed to be a square root y plus z, and that's going to equal x plus the grouping of z plus square root y. Now it looks like the associative because you have these parentheses right here. You have some parentheses, and it looks like you're associating grouping. However, it looks like x is not grouped, and then the other side x is not grouped. But if you look inside the parentheses, they switch the order of the square root y and the z. So that tells us that this is going to be the commutative property for addition. Okay, let's go down to the next example. And we're going to use some of these properties just to simplify, rewrite. And that's what a lot of things that we're going to do in algebra is rewrite equations, rewrite expressions. So for example, here I have 5 times the grouping of 3n. Now if I were to do it the long way, which I don't think most of us would write it this way, but I'm going to regroup the 5 and the 3 and put the n on the outside. That's going to be an example of the commutative property, regrouping, and that's going to be 15n. And usually we would just go from here to there, just recognizing that that's what you're doing, you're regrouping. Number 2, here I have a 4 plus 7b and then plus an 8. Well, I really can't do anything inside that grouping, but I could regroup here. I could put 4 plus 8 plus 7b. Now there's a combination of things that just happened. I'm regrouping, so I'm using the associative property, and then I am moving the 8 from the n into the middle. So there I'm using the commutative property. So I'm using two properties at once, and I did this because I really can't add 4 to 7b. And we're going to get into that, why you can't, but b or 7b is a variable. It has an expression of a b, and you just can't add 4 to it. But I can take the 4 and the 8. If it was money, I can add those two together, and that's going to be 12 plus 7b. So that's a combination of both properties. Number 3, this one, I'm going to rewrite it as 6x, and then I'm going to take it times y divided by y. So I'm splitting up my multiplication. My division, I'm dividing by y, and I'm only going to divide, and I can do that. I can split my big fraction, and if it's all being multiplied, I can put my y underneath the y, and y divided by y is 1, and 6 times 1, identity, is 6x times 1, it's going to be 6x. So these are the kind of things that we need to know how to do later on when we're looking at more complex algebraic expressions.